Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's event hosted by the Warsaw Institute 3Cs Initiative, Eastern Flank of the EU. Strategic significance and geopolitical implications. My name is Maciej Tyburski and I'm honored to moderate today's debate. Hereby, I extend my warm welcome to my today's distinguished guests, Benjamin Bardos, expert from the Warsaw Institute. Benjamin, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here to have this important discussion.
Thank you. And Otto Tabuns, Director of Baltic Security Foundation. Welcome, Otto.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be part of this discussion with the great work that the Warsaw Institute is doing.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. Good to have you on board. I think we can begin our interesting debate. We'll start with the question regarding the challenges that we are facing now because of the aftermath of the Russian invasion on Ukraine. It showed us how crucial it is for our nations that are located between Russia and Ukraine, Russia and Germany, to gather and team. But this new geopolitical situation generated additional challenges for our region. Therefore, I want to ask you, what are the biggest challenges that countries of 3Cs initiative face in terms of defense and security? We'll start with Otto Tabuns. Otto, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think that there have been a number of issues in terms of security and defense that we have encountered over the last several decades, but they have not been omnipresent. They have not been simultaneously obvious, as especially since the full-scale invasion of 2022. It has been the matter of conventional challenges as well as non-conventional ones, the matter of digital security and cybersecurity, noting the regional integration of not only the physical infrastructure of the information and communication technologies, but also the financial systems, such as in the case of the Baltic and the Nordic states. But I think it also has outlined the importance of informational security with regard to the use of disinformation to try to avoid and overcome some of the strengths that we have, such as collective security arrangements and the lessons that Russia is learning from its issues with the warfare and aggression in Ukraine that, if learned correctly, could be used against us. And this has been yet another wake-up alarm, similarly to the situation in 2014. And hopefully we will use the situation to learn from that and address the situation in terms of national defense, but also with regard to cooperation, especially if we talk about infrastructure that also can be used for two purposes, both for civilian and military, as well as the gaps such as our need for energy independence, and how obvious the issues have been laid by the Russian aggression, and our need to swiftly change the supply and the limitations that have been demonstrated by the lack of infrastructure that would address all of our needs. So a variety of issues, and the full-scale invasion has shone light on them at the same time.
Thank you very much. As you've mentioned, disinformation and cybersecurity are currently important factors in the geopolitical order. And now we're moving with the same question to Benjamin Bardos about the challenges that we are facing in current geopolitical order.
Thank you very much. I agree with everything said. The Russian invasion has highlighted many shortcomings in our defense posture, especially towards countering Russian aggression and general deterrence strategy. This extends to both disinformation and cybersecurity, as Otto has already mentioned. But to mention something else, our hard defense policy, this is to say, defense strategies and tactics, as have been shown in the war in Ukraine, are very much not adapted for modern warfare, such as drone usage, and such as demonstrated with the hack of Kyivstar mobile network in Ukraine. Cybersecurity and the following perception of any events during wartime and their susceptibility towards disinformation is something that needs to be faced with, that East member states especially need to start adapting and recognizing the lessons that need to be learned from this war, as this war is tomorrow's war as well. The lessons that can be learned here and are being learned here, if we are negligent toward these facts, then they will pose an ever greater risk in the future. This naturally extends to infrastructure, and any infrastructure has to be built in accordance and in mind with the lessons learned and the observations made in the war in Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your views on that topic. And now we'll move to the impact of Three Seas Initiative countries and their contribution to security and stability in the region. So now I will ask Benjamin Bardos for his insights on that matter.
So the Three Seas Initiative countries, as they represent the eastern flank of both the European Union and NATO, the infrastructural developments that are planned both in the field of natural gas, this is to a broader extent energy security, or whether more tangible infrastructures such as highways or digital infrastructure such as integration and homing together network capabilities, present a lot of opportunities to collaborate and work together in our shared defense policies and priorities. These contributions can be highlighted, such as with Romania's exploration in the Neptune gas fields in the Black Sea, which presents a unique opportunity to develop energy security in the Three Seas Initiative region in the eastern flank, or rail connection initiatives to create a viable and secure economic corridor from north to south among Three Seas Initiative member states. However, some other very important contributions can also be taken in a security perspective, where now we bear witness to the largest NATO exercise in Eastern Europe, and such exercises, that the fact that they're taking place in Eastern Europe present unique learning points among both the grander European Union and NATO, but also amongst 3C's initiative countries, and the fact that it is taking place here. We, as Eastern European countries, can learn and observe of how to adapt to what we're seeing and what we're doing right now, such as hosting the exercise right now, and making such infrastructural developments is a key contribution to a safer and better future for whatever it may hold in this age of instability.
Thank you very much, especially for touching the topic of significance of infrastructure in our region, which is a area we need to put a special focus on. Now I will give the floor to Otto Tabuns with the same question of 3C's initiative countries' impact on regional stability.
Indeed, I can agree that our region is not only regionally important for Europe, but especially in the last 2 years has acquired global significance because it is a matter of influence and control of the region, as well as the global power competition. And it is very important. That these aspects that may seem technical in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the economic situation, the energy market, the different services that are part of the digital market. They may seem to be very one-sided, even though it is the general benefit and also the matter of European unity, because I think that some of the issues that we have had in the response to the Russian aggression, as well as our economic interaction, has been deeply connected to the fact that in some cases our infrastructure is lacking, and perhaps an increased collaboration on this would address a number of national vulnerabilities that can be used to affect the international organizations that the countries are members of, including the European Union and NATO. It is the matter of cyber security and the infrastructure that is very important for the civilian side, but it is also the matter of energy security and the importance of addressing those concerns that would be important for, even in the same Baltic states, and also addressing the legacy that we would have, for example, of the way how during the Soviet occupation the infrastructure of the region was planned in a way that in situations similar to these it would be easier to control. And it is not only an economic impact, it is also the way of cooperation on different other aspects. For example, if I would bring up even the same academic and research cooperation, it is sometimes difficult that the Central and Eastern European countries would have a number of similar interests. At the same time, coordination on these matters would be difficult. Even for the same the simple and perhaps frivolous example that there are no direct transit connections, for example, for this cooperation between Baltics and the Balkans, there would be it would be so much more difficult to have direct cooperation between representatives of our region than it would be, let's say, between our regions and Western Europe. And it can create frustration, especially for the younger generation and their involvement in the political process, and that could underline the other aspects that we mentioned. One of the factors that certainly also affect the demographic situation, the ability to be involved, to influence the situation. It was already affected by the pandemic. Now there are new challenges by the war, and of course it is a significant factor also for societal security.
Thank you very much. I think we can all agree that our region is beginning more and more globally important because of what's happening in the world right now. Gentlemen, we spoke about challenges, we spoke about our current impact and contribution to regional stability. Now I want to ask you, what more can be done, what can we do to enhance and intensify the current collaboration to bolster the security in the region, because more and more threats are coming and we need to prepare somehow for that. Benjamin, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. A very big part of what we need to prepare for, especially in the realm of our ever more digitized economy, is the protection of banking, financial services, and insurance institutions. These, at the onset of any aggression or even war, or any other type of coercive international tactics displayed by coercive members of the international community, would become a prime target for any hostile actor. So, a role model for what can be done and how it can be taken a step further is the Polish Act of the Homeland Security Act. It prioritizes hard defense capabilities while also ensuring the continuation and development of a sustainable military industry. This is something that isn't only exclusive to the shiny elements of what a military might be, such as tanks or airplanes, but rather the part that actually supports all these capabilities, both physically and digitally. Furthermore, we also have to think about energy and such policies. When we think about these, we have to think, how can we ensure that we will have sustainable and secure energy supplies in the next 10 years, next 20 years. And with this, we have to look at what I recently brought up is regional energy supplies, such as in the Black Sea. However, even now, these currently are threatened by the Russian aggression. So, in our long term security strategy, we have to look at how our security posture goes to show that we are prepared to defend these security interests that we have, and that we are willing to make the sacrifices needed and the commitments needed to get there. And for this, as to answer the question in its entirety, requires communication and collaboration across the entire region, even with some more problematic actors, such as Serbia. These actors, if not contained, will jeopardize the integrity of this geopolitical bloc that we call the Eastern European flank or the Eastern flank. Otherwise, if these factors are not paid attention to, then we risk the solid and the wholeness of our security strategy. So, to conclude in a couple of short words, we need to work together on collaborating. We need to work together on securing the energy supplies that we need to power our economies. We need to look at our financial services, our banking industries, and we need to that there is a sustainable defense industry behind our confidence to protect ourselves.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I completely agree. There are severe decisions we need to make in the future. They are in front of us. We need to act hardly to face the upcoming challenges. And now we're moving to Otto Tabuns with the same question of enhancing cooperation in the future to bolster the regional stability. The floor is yours, Otto.
Thank you. I agree to Benjamin, and would like to add that indeed, in this direction of cyber and digital security, there are aspects that we can share, such as the public and private partnership with regard to providing secure access to public services, and that has not only national significance but also has regional economic impact, because it is not only the matter of the real material physical infrastructure, but also the trust of the safety and the longevity of the investment and the ability of both the public service and the private sector to operate and also be ready to operate in situations where there may be threats, as there always are, but there are solutions that are safe to manage those threats. Also, what I would like to add is some of the solutions that we could replicate. And here we have to join together the opportunities provided by international law and European law together with infrastructure. And that would be, for example, the way how between Finland, Estonia, and Latvia, it has been possible to create a common natural gas market. So similar approaches could be exported and shared, and we could see what other aspects of the energy security could be regionally integrated, so that it would be the variety and diversification of supply. Not only that we would have a plan B in a situation of crisis, but also in general, it would be possible to address the increased expenditure associated with cost of energy. And that I believe is also a significant factor why construction costs have increased, also with regard to some of the projects that would have a regional security significance, such as Rail Baltic and others, that would also be very important in terms of resupply and connectivity that is still very limited but very necessary.
Thank you very much, Otto, for sharing your expertise on that. Gentlemen, both of you mentioned in your statements a lot about energy security. So I want to follow this question and the topic of energy infrastructure and energy security. We all know that currently energy plays a vital role in modern safety infrastructure. Of course, adequately prepared infrastructure allows us to avoid any energy related breakdowns that will have a future negative impact, especially on end users. So, therefore, I want to ask you for brief statements on the importance of energy security in the region. What are the threats, and what can we do to ensure our stability in the area of energy? Benjamin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, a recent and a new threat to our energy security is the hostile and coercive actions taking place in the Red Sea. They have shown that there are valid threats that need to be protected against our global supply chains, whether that be on land, that was demonstrated with Russia with our pipelines, or whether that is by sea, as did in the Red Sea. And to reiterate what Otto said, this is why redundancy is such an important factor. And this is where I believe that the Three Seas Initiative can facilitate this goal by providing the financial and institutional means to coordinate effective infrastructure plans that can support these goals, such as the construction of highway, rails, pipelines for gas. These all will prove to be costly investments, but needed investments. As in the immediate aftermath of the start with the war in Ukraine, uh, our dependence on energy on Russia immediately highlighted how vulnerable Europe was. This is a mistake that we can't afford to make again, and especially now that we've seen in the Red Sea that supply lines too in these seas and the high seas can come under threat. These are strategies that we must embrace. The question is how then? Uh, I've been reiterating this quite a lot as I'm quite a fan of the idea, but developing Black Sea energy resources is a key, I think, to especially Eastern European energy security. However, another alternative, which can be very resilient, profitable, and secure, is developing North African and Caucasian energy connections to Europe, such as the Azerbaijani gas pipeline and the pipelines going into Sicily from North Africa. These all go to provide a much more secure form of energy for Europe, and that is to include, of course, Eastern Europe, because in the end game, we have to be able to back up the deterrent strategy that we show to the world with not just with force, but also with the sustained threat that we can make without being able to be coerced by another monopoly state on our energy. We need to be able to these, and that's whereas I've said again is I think Three Seas initiative will play a crucial institutional and financial role.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Surely the Russian invasion on Ukraine forced a lot of countries to review the energy policy, which led up to more enhanced diversification and putting more and more investments on energy projects. Now we're moving with the same question to Otto Tabuns regarding the importance of energy in our region and the threats that we are facing. Please, the floor is yours.
Indeed, something that cannot really be resolved by individual nations alone, we could solve by making it a priority of the Three Seas initiative, because indeed, as we can see, the geographic significance cannot be overlooked. The connection with other regions is very important, similarly as the Baltic and the Nordic region is the best developed region to access the Arctic. Similarly, it is also a way how Europe, through the countries of the Three Seas initiative, can connect to the middle corridor, and there would be a mutual benefit where in a way that we could address our energy needs, the provision of income that it would give to the countries of Central Asia or prospectively Northern Africa would give resources for development and stability. And what could be very desirable, even if it is a long-term outcome, could be an increased amount of stakeholders globally to have this cooperation, because it would bring and the much needed leveling of different issues, not only for Europe, but the wider region. And that would be profitable to many sides, and as a result would provide a number of positive political outcomes. If we would look at some analogous situations, we can draw parallels with some of the peace initiatives in the Greater Middle East area, where that was also an obvious goal, or at least expected spillover effect. And the same we could say for the Three Seas initiative. And I think this could also be a way how to connect some of the other issues which are perhaps more acute for us, but would be a great way how to involve international stakeholders whose presence we would much need. This could be a significant argument in the particular negotiations between the European side and our North American partners. If we talk about the potential benefits beyond global stability, that could be very interesting for energy stakeholders in North America. Which I think is also partially what shapes their Arctic policy and their interest in the region, which is just adjacent to the Three Seas initiative. But we have already seen, for example, in the case of Latvia, the interest from the Indo-Pacific region, specifically that of Japan, by investing in the energy infrastructure, showing that it is even beyond the transatlantic space, that we could attract interest, and especially if we talk about the wider Three Seas initiative area, the economy of scale would make it even more attractive if we are able to have the political will to work together on this.
Thank you very much, Otto. Gentlemen, we've just spoke about the energy significance in our region. Now, I want to ask you more of a military and strategic question regarding the role of Three Seas initiative in fostering NATO cooperation in the region. Surely, we are at the border of EU. And we are also a really, really important region from the perspective of the NATO alliance. So we'll start with Otto Tabuns. What's the role of our initiative in fostering NATO cooperation in our region?
I think it would be very useful both for NATO and the individual member states to have a strong component of this partnership between what is needed in particular multinational projects and what would be some of the specific objectives of the alliance, because the better will be the north-south infrastructure, the easier it would be to achieve a number of key goals that NATO has in providing deterrence and defense. And it goes not only with regard to a reinforcement of our armed forces and the ability for them to provide a military mobility, but it is also very important with regard to other aspects of security, the same societal trust, societal security, and economic security, which is important to maintain the resilience of our communities, especially when it is challenged in a hybrid way, or it is challenged in ways that, let's say, our opponents or hostile international actors would find that to be a cheaper way how to achieve their interest. For example, fostering economic issues and then making us trust less the institutions that are actually most trusted. For example, in the Baltic states, the armed forces are among the most trusted public institutions. And as there is an increased amount of money that goes toward defense, the trust in the way how that is spent and whether there is also a benefit just beyond the military would also be significant to keep society and citizens trusting their nations and governments, which is as important part of our defense as is also the conventional and military aspects in which we already are stronger than any of our other opponents. But as we can see, therefore, those non-conventional sides would be some that could be affected, and NATO should not forget about that too.
Thank you very much, Otto, for your interesting view on that. Surely, this is a topic of significance for the next years from the geopolitical perspective. Even a few months ago, Russia has formally withdrawn from the Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. So this is another, let's say, concern for us and the NATO. And now I will ask the same question to Benjamin Bardos about bolstering NATO cooperation in the region and your views on that. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Military policies for the next decade or even the next couple of years will be the most influential in our deterrence strategy to prevent any type of large-scale war breakout. And therefore it is of utmost importance. And the means in which NATO cooperation can be bolstered is by bolstering or using force multiplying features in the various member states among Three Seas Initiative members. It is very crucial to realize, even with growing revenues from Three Seas Initiative projects, it would be unwise to expect every nation to develop the same types of capabilities, as that would, in essence, be, first of all, unattainable, and it would be unpractical. So, if we're already developing cooperation and communication in this region, it would also be very useful to develop and to designate certain roles that certain countries can play. The Baltic countries, would due to their smaller geographic oh my god, I apologies. Due to their smaller geographical area, might be more susceptible to a direct attack by Russian land forces, unlike the larger countries such as Poland, Slovakia, or the Czech Republic. These countries would be facing drastically different threats, such as ballistic missiles, which is also a treaty that Russia has withdrawn from relating to these weapons. So, therefore, in hand with the infrastructure that would be developed in these Three Seas Initiative projects, it would be very important to bear in mind the specific threats that these countries would be facing and to integrate these threats with the objectives that we're both proposing nationally under domestic policies and internationally in projects with the European Union and NATO. So, in essence, the Baltic countries could be focusing on a more defense in the small depth that they have to preserve the vital Suwalki corridor enclosing the Kaliningrad enclave of Russia, while the Polish might be looking at a more forceful counter to what the Russians may have to offer in a physical interaction with the Russian armed forces, and actually a retaliatory aspect of what they could do in a deterrent strategy enabled by their larger economy. So these are objectives that we would have to look at as to how certain member states could uniquely contribute to cooperating with NATO and in the greater region itself.
Thank you, Benjamin. Here I want to highlight what you've said, that of course our countries are different. We have different GDP, different military expenditure, different, let's say, strategic significance, and different location, which gives different threats on our countries, especially currently when there is a bigger threat from the east. Thank you, gentlemen. I think we can conclude our today's event. Thank you very much for participating today, for your interesting insights given and shared with our viewers and followers. So I wish you a great rest of day, and thank you once again for your presence. And we'll see each other during our next events. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.